Obviously, in order to construct a program that is responsive to the vast needs of our community, we need to find innovative content, and not only just content, but innovative formats that are able to deliver this knowledge in the limited amount of time. We have 1 week to deliver all of this information and to create the different tracks. So what we have done this year is we've created, every day has its own formats. The first day, for example, we have stayed purely plenary. So everybody can stay in the massive big hall, everybody can be together. And this is the day which highlights Africa's success and celebrates Africa's progress. And it will feature about 11 African countries in different segments, in different sessions, talking about how much progress they've made and how they are transforming their business models to become successful enterprises that are delivering services to their country and supporting the economic development of their country. In addition, we are bringing in some very high-level policy panels, which include ministers, include development agency, include standards organization leaders, ex-director generals of identity authorities. We're bringing those experts to provide their perspective on how do they see we're doing as a community and what we can do to accelerate our progress towards identity for all. So the first day remains plenary, and it privileges Africa because this is ID for Africa. The second day, we are going into more of a multi-track. So in the morning we stay single track, but we're looking at use cases which are in different sectors, such as the financial, such as in the health, such as in the travel. So that's a solutions forum, an important forum which every year we do bring, but it allows the innovators from all over the world to come and talk about implementations that they have done in this space. But in the afternoon, we go into 2 parallel tracks. One track we're very excited about. We're excited about both tracks. The first track, of course, is From Data to Dignity, a track that talks about how we must be responsible in the way we treat identification data, in the way we treat digital transformation data. So that's a voice for legal reform, that's a voice for civil society, and that's a voice for the researchers who can warn us about the dangers of exclusion which come about when we take data matters lightly. At the same time, we have another major track which is called DPI for development. DPI has become a very important topic. It's the basically digital public infrastructure, and we want to look at how do you succeed in using digital public infrastructure as a methodology and as a platform for accelerating your development. This is not just about acquiring foreign technology. This is about creating a culture. This is about creating capacity. This is about bringing in ecosystems that incubate resources that you have. But necessarily, this is going to be about how do we collaborate? How do we arrive at whole of government approaches to the concept of DPI? Of course, being hosted by Ethiopia, which is the country that is our host in 2025, Day 1 features a special segment about Ethiopia we call Eye on Ethiopia. And here we're going to learn about how Ethiopia multi-stakeholders, different stakeholders, are working together to achieve the objective of enrolling everybody in the population, but giving them access to services. Key services we will be highlighting about Ethiopia's use of digital identity will be the financial sector and telecom. Day 3, I would say, is the biggest change in format that we've ever implemented. And Day 3 will feature 3 symposium tracks. The first track is about legal identity. It's going to talk about everything you'd ever want to know or every challenge that legal identity currently has, and starts with civil registration and the synergies with health, synergies with ID. Then it moves into the rights that you can derive from legal identity, including the right to mobility, the right to nationality, the right to basically travel and cross borders. So we are going to address the problems that emerge when legal identity is not correctly accessible. This will be topics such as statelessness. This would be topics such as refugees. This would be topics such as data issues, which could lead to problems like double registration and other issues. A parallel track to that is the digital identity track. And here we talk about how do you go and become digital? How do you build trust in digital identity? How do you exchange data in a manner that allows you to ensure that everybody gets connected, interagency connected, but also allows people to provide consent, to control their own digital identity, their own digital data. And this track will allow us to address everything related to digital identity, from opportunities to challenges, and will give voice to technical experts from organizations such as NIST and the World Bank, as well as African practitioners who have implemented certain aspects of digital identity, as well as the data protection authorities who are coming to provide their perspective on the challenges that they see in digital identity from a privacy and data protection point of view. Of course, the topic of credentials and digital credentials is at the heart of this whole track. You cannot talk about digital identity without talking about how do you credential people, how do you manage the credentials that you need to issue, and you link those credentials to rights and privileges and access to services. And then the third track is going to be a very, very fascinating track about use. Again, it will be DPGs in use, responsible use of digital public goods. And then later in the day, we're going to focus on the use of DPGs and DPIs in the financial sector. So the idea here, the central bankers are going to be there to talk about their aspirations and their experiences with digital identity in empowering people, financial inclusion and the financial services, and how do you protect the financial sector and its integrity against fraud and against attacks. This is very transformative. Africa, just like the rest of the world, is going through a very, very deep transformation, especially in the financial sector, made possible by the fact that digital identity is within reach to the average person in the street. And that's going to change the way people interact. That's going to change the way economies are built and the way they become more efficient and more competitive. And that's the purpose of that third track, is to talk about use cases that are making a difference. So in those 3 days, we're going to be covering the equivalent of 6 days of tracks and material and sessions. On the fourth day, we're going to have 4 different workshops running in parallel, and the workshops have a different objective. The workshops are not about exchanging knowledge, are not about transferring knowledge. The workshops are about getting people to engage with each other, usually addressing open problems that we do not know the answer for. So we give them the opportunity to get together and work on finding solutions and finding frameworks that could help us advance. Usually the workshops inform the agenda for the coming year. We identify areas that are not really well done, that continue to be a challenge for us, and therefore we try to make some progress. And much of the work happens after the AGM and throughout the year.